welcome to the Tainted Tavern. And today I've got a whiskey review for you, and today I'm reviewing a single malt whiskey, and that is Glen Moray, which is a value single malt, as I think of them, because it's at the cheaper end of the spectrum. It's a no age statement, of course. But Glen Moray do some whiskies with age statements, do an 18-year, 12-year-old, all the way up to a 21-year-old, I believe. This bottle here, 70 cl, is regularly on sale in the supermarkets in the UK, and I think I paid about £24 for this bottle, but you can quite often get it on offer for around the £20 mark. Now, as this is a whiskey review, I'm going to take the opportunity to plug my new book, A Dark History of Whiskey, which is out now, a whiskey book like no other. And you can get this direct from the publisher at Pen or Sword Books, or you can nip onto Amazon or any other online bookseller and purchase a copy, or you can order it from your local bookshop, even ask in your library. Dark History of Whiskey is a whiskey book like no other. We look at the entire history of the drink, and with an emphasis on the darker side of that history, whiskey noir, if you like. So that's The Dark History of Whiskey by Gary Dobbs. That's me. I thought I'd put a plug in there. But now we're going to talk about Glen Moray whiskey. And I've got the notes here in front of me on the screen. So if you see my eyes going up every now and then, don't worry. I'm not a bit of a strange dude. I'm just peering at the screen. And so let's talk a little bit about Glen Moray whiskey. Now, this is the basic entry-level Glen Moray whiskey, and it's been aged in ex-bourbon barrels, which is something that a lot of Scotches are. A little pocket history now of the distillery. Now, Glen Moray, its history stretches all the way back to the Elgin West Brewery in 1830, though they weren't producing whiskey at that time. They were brewing high-quality ales, and they didn't turn the brewery into a distillery until 1897, or rather several years before 1897, but it was 1897 that the first spirits rolled out of the distilleries at Glen Moray. And in fact, that was on the 13th of September, according to archive material, which is kept in Glen Moray's archives. The whiskey was made entirely, this is a Speyside whiskey, so it's from the Speyside region, and was made then, as it is now, entirely from local barley. And even then, when they were first producing whiskies, they were experimenting with maturation and using a variety of casks to mature the spirit to see what differences it made, what nuances it brought out. They were using, at the time, masala wine casks and sherry casks. These days, Glen Moray is aged in a vast number of casks. The distillery fell silent during the First World War, but shortly after the First World War, they started producing spirits again, and it was then that they were bought out by MacDonald and Muir, who were then a well-known wine and spirit merchant. Later on, the distillery would purchase Gallacrook Farm, which was close by them, and it was this farm that had always produced the barley they used for their whiskies, and they purchased it and still get their barley from this farm. The distillery then was upgraded from coal to oil, and modern malting facilities were installed, which allowed Glen Moray to double their output. And at the time, they were Scotland's most up-to-date whiskey distillery. These days, they can produce over 2 million litres of whiskey a year. Now, we're going to be taking the Glen Moray in a Glencairn glass, because for initial tastings I like to use a Glencairn because of the tulip-shaped bottom and the chimney, which allows the aromas to drift out of the drink. But before we get to taste this, let's have a little, let's allow the brand ambassador Ian Allen to tell us how to enjoy your whiskey.
Welcome to Glen Moray. We're going to take you on a journey on how to enjoy your single malt whisky. You look for a glass that has this tulip-shaped rim at the top. What that'll help to do is that'll help to keep the aroma so that you can enjoy the nose of your whiskey for that little bit longer. Once you've got your whiskey in your glass, take a little bit of time to have a look at the colour. The colour can indicate a couple of things about your whiskey. First off, maybe a little bit about the age. Older whiskies have spent that little bit longer in cask and they will pick up more colour and tend to be a little bit darker. But it can also tell you a little bit about the type of cask that we are using. Once you've spent a bit of time taking a look at the colour of your whiskey, the next thing you want to do is get your nose in the glass, see how it smells. Initially, you may find it's a little bit prickly, but you'll get used to it. Take some time, get your nose in there, and discover the aromas and characters that are within your glass. Once you've spent a little bit of time having a look at the colour of your whiskey and nosing it, you can finally get round to tasting it. Some people will add ice to their whiskey on the rocks, some will drink it with water added, some will drink it straight. Find what suits you. Don't let anybody tell you how to drink your whiskey. Take some time to discover the best way for you to enjoy it. That gives you a chance to acclimatise, get used to the strength of alcohol within your glass. And then it's on your second sip that you will start to discover the nuances and subtler flavours around your whiskey. So however you're enjoying it, take your time. You will start to discover a whole new world of flavours with your single malt whiskey. Slange.
Okay, now I've poured myself a glass of the Glen Moray, holding it up to the light to look at the colour. It's crystal clear, of course, as whiskey is. It doesn't state on the bottle if it's chill filtered or whatever, or if it's got any colourings added, so we'll have to give it the benefit of the doubt on that. It's a light golden amber kind of wash treacly colour. On the back of the bottle it tells us that we should expect from this aromas of citrus and vanilla, invitingly balanced with tastes of toffee and spice. As I say, this is aged in ex-bourbon barrels, as a lot of Scotch is aged in ex-bourbon barrels. So let's take it to the nose. Now this is 40% ABV, as is probably to be expected at this price point, and it's quite a zesty, smooth nose taste. I keep putting my pipe in my mouth, it's not even lit. So yeah, it's quite a zesty aroma. Maybe a touch of vanilla, but the ethanol there is the prime essence you're getting in the aroma. And even at 40% ABV, ethanol is... And even at 40% ABV, the ethanol is still there. Perhaps there is a little fruit on the aroma. So let's take it to the palate. It's a very mild whiskey, very light. There is a slight burn on the finish on the back end. Vanilla's there, definitely getting that vanilla, but it's very mild, it's very easy drinking. Now, at this price point, as I say, £24, you could use this over ice, you could use it as a mixer, but it's nice enough to be taken straight as it is. It's inoffensive, it is mild, it's not too complex, but then for a whiskey in this price range, you wouldn't expect much complexity. Though it's certainly it's not bland. It's got a lot going for it. Yes, kind of biscuity kind of taste on the finish. The vanilla's there. Let's take another. And then I'll add a little bit of water, because water opens up things, and the addition of water can do wonderful things to a whiskey. So let me just grab some water. So I'm going to add a little bit of Buxton mineral water here. Not a lot, just a capful, and allow that to do its thing with the whiskey while the water's breaking up the whiskey there. What can I tell you about? I've recently started reading the first book in the Lord of the Rings saga, The Fellowship of the Rings, because I've never read it before. I'm of course aware of the Lord of the Rings, who isn't, and I've always been a voracious reader, but for some reason somehow the Lord of the Rings has always managed to elude me. But I decided that I was going to read the entire 3-book series. I have read The Hobbit previously, but The Lord of the Rings, I don't know, maybe the size of the book has always daunted me, although, you know, that's a strange thing for me to say, because I have read a lot of sizes of books over the years. But I've started reading The Lord of the Rings a couple of days ago. I'm up now to Frodo and his band at the house of Tom Bombadil. Tom Bombadil, of course, a character which was left out of Peter Jackson's excellent film adaptations of the books. I can see why Jackson left Tom Bombadil out of the films, because although he's a wonderful character, his section with Pippin, Merry, Frodo, Sam at Tom Bombadil doesn't really have much to do with the actual plot of the book, although it's a wonderful sequence in the book, and I've still got to get through it, so I don't know what happens, how their meeting with Tom Bombadil works out, but it's just interesting how that Peter Jackson didn't feature Tom Bombadil in the films, nor did he feature So I am enjoying the book. I mean, I've only read 150 pages so far. I've been a lot busy with work the last couple of days, but I'm really enjoying The Lord of the Rings. And when I do finish this first section, this first book, Fellowship of the Ring, I'll do a full review here. So I just thought I'd give a little talk about that. And perhaps I'll drink to Tom Bombadil's health in the commiseration that he was left out of the fantastic film series by Peter Jackson. Though I haven't seen Amazon's Rings of Power, but I've been reading a lot online recently about it, and apparently Amazon are bringing Tom Bombadil into their series, so that'll be interesting to see. Anyway, now I've put the water in the whiskey, it's done its business. Let's give it a little swirl around the glass and admire the legs. It, as can be expected from a whiskey of this price point, the legs are not fantastic, although they are there. I can see them running down the glass. To the nose now, the ethanol aroma, which tended to overpower all the other aromas I was getting, has eased off a lot. It's been dialed back. And that biscuitiness is far more pronounced, as is the vanilla. That's quite delicious. I think a whiskey like this does need the addition of a little bit of water. I have drunk this over ice as well, because I've been at this bottle prior to doing this review, and when I'm relaxing of an evening, watching a film, reading a book, even doing some writing in my office, I tend to take my whiskey over ice. So a scotch on the rocks, if you like. And this is really good over the ice. But with just a basic drop of water, the ice hasn't, obviously there's no ice, so it's not cooled down to the extent that ice would cool the drink down. So you do seem to be getting a lot more of the flavors, and it seems a lot more of a substantial drink. Over ice, as I say, I enjoy it over ice. It's still a very nice whiskey. I mean, something like this for 20 pounds, 24 pounds, a single malt for 24 pounds, and it's so versatile. And you should, as Ian from Glen Moray said that you should enjoy whiskey the way you want to enjoy it. Don't let anyone tell you how to drink it. So, as a mixer, this would be superb. There was a time when I used to drink a lot of whiskies as a mixers, and I still do sometimes on a warm summer's evening. I'll make my version of Kentucky Mule, which is basically a whiskey and ginger beer. Kentucky Mule, of course, it's got to be bourbon, but I'll often use Scotch. A blended Scotch like Famous Grouse or White and Mackay, or even a cheaper single malt such as Glen Moray, I'll use as a mixer on a warm summer's evening. But the majority of my whiskey drinking is done over the rocks, over ice, on the rocks, so to speak. But this now, as it is, so it's had all of this has had added to it. Other than the whiskey at the bottle, is the tiniest amount of water. And the water's definitely improved it. I'm getting that vanilla. The vanilla's a lot stronger than it was. Then there's, I think, some caramel there, some citrus. It's easy drinking, and that's what you want at this price point. I'm one of those whiskey enthusiasts who feel that a lot of the more expensive single malts and the reputation they have is a myth, is selling a myth. I think that you can get a perfectly acceptable drink a heck of a lot cheaper. I have sometimes bought expensive whiskies, but I've never paid more than £150 for whiskey, and very rarely do I even pay that amount. But you can go into hundreds, 200, 300 pounds for whiskey. I wouldn't pay that, I'm sorry. Perfect example of that is I drink a lot of Johnny Walker Black Label. And the premium Johnny Walker in the color-coded thing is the Blue Label. Now, I've never bought a bottle of Blue Label because it's just way too expensive. I mean, this is a blended Scotch, not even a single malt, but it's way too expensive. But I was at a friend's house not so long back, and he was talking about whiskey, and he had a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label there. And I asked him if I could taste it because I'd read a lot about Johnny Walker Blue Label. I knew it was the most expensive in the Johnny Walker range. And I asked him if I could taste it, and I did, and it was nice, it was good, it was very, very sweet, mellow, easy drinking, but it wasn't, £150 better than the Johnny Walker Black Label. I think Johnny Walker Black Label is superb. I like the smoke on that, but we're going off on a tangent now. We're not here to talk about Johnny Walker, we're here to talk about Glen Moray. So, what can I say? It's cheap. It's accessible even to, for someone who's new to whiskey, new to the whiskey world, and they want to try a single malt, then something like this is the perfect entry. It's a Speyside whiskey, so it hasn't got all of that heavily peated style as, say, the Islay whiskies do, and nor is it as stringent as some of the Highland whiskies. It's a decent drink. That glass has gone down a treat, and what better recommendation can there be? To score this whiskey, if I had to score this out of 10, I would take into account, of course, the price, what you pay for it, so I know this is not overly expensive. Now, if I paid £50-60 for this bottle, I'd probably be a bit disappointed, but the price I paid for it, £24, there's nothing to moan about. It's a decent whiskey. And I will be trying some of the other Glen Moray, the age statement Glen Morays, perhaps the 10, the 18, the 12, the 21, because it'd be interesting to see what difference the longer aging in the barrels has on the finished spirit. But this, a basic Glen Moray, billed as the classic, aged in ex-bourbon barrels. This is a decent whiskey, so cheers, Solange, and Yaki Da, and please click subscribe on this channel. It doesn't cost you anything and it'll help it grow. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below if you drunk Glen Moray whiskey. Do you like Glen Moray whiskey, or are you reading Lord of the Rings? Can you tell me what I've got to come in the book? No spoilers though. And also please purchase a copy of A Dark History Whiskey by Gary Dobbs. Cheers. Bye for now.